Game changer has become an overused turn of phrase, but few would argue that it doesn't apply to Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, a groundbreaking album released by the Beatles in 1967.
A charm of finches, a business of ferrets, a paddling of ducks, a kindle of kittens, and yes, even a barrel of monkeys. These collective words are called nouns of assembly, and we'll explore their origin.
The idea that no two snowflakes are alike is technically true. Wilson Snowflake Bentley was a Vermont farmer who became the first person to photograph individual snowflakes using a microscope. Bentley spent his life capturing more than 5,000 snowflake images. We'll tell you his story.
The Met Gala is an annual fundraising event for the Metropolitan Museum of Art's Costume Institute in New York City, and it's become one of the most celebrated events in the fashion world. Why is that?
Hello, welcome to REMORANDOM, the podcast. I'm Remo Giuffre.
And I'm Claudia Chanshaw.
And Claudia, this might be the last time we do this before we break for the year, given our respective schedules.
And you're busy wrapping parcels, and you're going Christmas
hand wrapped by the founder. Well, what I like to do, especially if people are nice enough to buy a full set of books, I do like to handwrite the little note on the. I've got some stationery that I had done years ago. It's using one of the, like old letterpress machines, so it's got that kind of
lovely.
Nice. Oh, this is real stationery. I can feel the bumps on the words. So I usually write something like, dear Karen. I don't write dear Karen if their name's not Karen, by the way. Dear Karen.
All of them, dear Karen and dear Karen.
Dear Karen, thanks for ordering Memorandum. Hope you enjoy it. Best with a little stick man there. Stick that in there. So. And away we go. Done a few of those this week, so hoping to do a lot more. But
yeah, you've got so many orders that you're going to have writer's cramp.
I know, got to make space in the garage for the next book. So it never ends. You remember I was telling you the Powerhouse Museum curators came by, so I heard from them. They are taking some old Remo 20th century signage and archival catalogues and poll posters and stuff. So that's kind of an...
Hooray. That is so important. That's really, really important. You're being... What's the word? No, I won't say memorialised because you're still...
Immortalised.
Immortalised.
Deified.
Immortalised.
Can we say deified? I called Hugh Ramage yesterday. I said, that concrete head you made us, it was you, wasn't it? He said, I don't remember any concrete head. I said, you definitely made this concrete head. So, might have been a Pete King thing. I'll call Pete in New Zealand. So, I've got for the provenance of every item, I need to find out who made it and stuff.
And when you say the big head, you're not talking about your head. You're talking about the phrenology head.
It's
the
a
Remo
phrenology
symbol.
head that weighs a ton. It's made of concrete, and we move it around very inconveniently in our garage, like every couple of days. What else has happened? I went to that community radio Christmas party and gave my keynote speech. So that was
How'd
good.
you go?
All the volleys. I don't do a lot of public speaking, so I do get kind of a bit nervous, and it's not... if I did a lot more of it, I think I'd be better. But all of these... volunteers, like 90 of them or 100 of them sitting in a room, and who give all so much of their time, to this cause, you feel obliged to give them a decent show, and hopefully I did that. But so this time of year just seems to travel quite quickly. Are you going away or hanging out or what?
No. I always last minute things. And I've got a tour coming up in January to Singapore. So I've still got homework to do and concentrate. Right. Be a good girl. Do my homework. You know how it is.
I know how it is. So the first thing I want to talk about is that Beatles album from 1967, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album. And the reason why I thought of it is that I have been watching... on the streaming services, the Beatles anthology, this like 9-part doco that first came out in 1995 and was re-released using Peter Jackson kind of technology. I don't know, not so long ago, this year, I think. And so, it's just kind of blow away, colorized, great sound. You feel like you're in the room, but it is super comprehensive. Maybe it's a you got to be a fan thing.
Yeah.
Melanie likes the Beatles. Is she as much of a fan that she needs to see every episode and not look up from her knitting? No. Or go to bed halfway through an episode and not feel the need that she needs to catch up the next night. So, yeah, I'm definitely hanging on every word and enjoying it, and inspired by not just their humanity and creativity, but their reinvention, constant reinvention. And, the case in point is this album from 1967. So, Game Changer, as I said in the intro, it's sort of an overused phrase, but this really was a seminal piece of work when it came out. So it was produced by George Martin, their longtime collaborator, and it's sort of it really pushed the boundaries of studio recording techniques at the time. So much experimentation, playing things backwards, upside down, mixing them, bashing them about, adding interesting new instruments that hadn't been heard before, Indian music, psychedelia, vaudeville thrown in there for good measure. So the eclectic approach was novel at the time, but also what was novel was that they overlaid this fiction that the Beatles, were actually also this fictional Sgt. Pepper's band, and this album was going to be a journey through their act. Well, the first couple of songs were, and then they sort of more or less
Did their own thing.
did their own thing. But
Yes.
but they did imbue it with this kind of storytelling thing, complete with shiny silk, colourful costumes and so on and
And
so
lots of
forth.
moustaches.
And moustaches were the go.
Yeah.
So Jay Cox in Time magazine at the time, Sgt. Pepper is the most important, influential, and musically cohesive album ever made. And Langdon Winner from Rolling Stone went so far to say this, and I quote, "The closest Western civilization has come to unity since the Congress of Vienna in 1815. Can you look that up for me later? Was the week that Sgt. Pepper album was released. In every city in Europe and America, the radio stations played it and everyone listened. For a brief while, the irreparable, fragmented consciousness of the West was unified, at least in the minds of the young." The album dropped on Friday. On Sunday, Jimi Hendrix was playing some gig and he covered the Sgt. Pepper song. So I only had the weekend to sort of like listen to it and learn it. So even 50 years later, Mark Harris, Entertainment Weekly, Sgt. Pepper's is still the most important album ever made. An unsurpassed adventure in concept, sound, songwriting, cover art, da-da-da-da-da. And it was kind of like the, where were you when JFK was shot? Where were you when Elvis died? There are a lot of people who know where they were when they first listened to the Sgt. Pepper album.
I'm glad you mentioned.
Yeah, go
I'm
on.
glad you mentioned the cover art, because Peter Blake's cover design was unbelievable. It was a fantastic snapshot of the 20th century with all the different characters that appeared on the cover.
Yeah, and the Aspinall, I forget his first name, but yeah, there was a lot of research. They went to a lot of libraries and got a lot of photographs, and they blew them up, colorized them, cut them out, and then created this amazing montage.
Fabulous. Who's your favorite Beatle?
Well, for cool, I think John. For cool, John. And maybe, for just like regular guyness, Ringo, probably. What about? What about
Oh,
you?
Paul, all the way.
Paul all the way.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
great.
Paul was always that's my Paul. Always, little girl, Paul singing yesterday, those big soulful eyes. He's
Yeah.
Paul. It's Paul.
He had the weirdest looking mustache though during the period. So it
I'm
looked
going to have
like
to look more carefully.
two little black commas peeling off his nose, under his nose. Yeah, maybe I'm not quite old enough to remember too much about 1967. I was seven, but I do remember the album at home in Kensington with my elder brother and sister
Yeah,
doing the rounds.
my elder brothers had it as well. Yeah, great album, great cover art, great guys.
So, what are you going to talk to me about?
Well, I've got a fascinating topic for you. You know when you're watching a quiz show and they throw this curly question, and the quizmaster says, "What is the collective noun for a group of eagles?" And you go, is it a flock of eagles? No, that's a flock of seagulls in the 1980s. Is it a flock? No, it's something much more obscure and wonderful, and it's a convocation of
Wow.
eagles. So there are some others. How about a charm of finches, a business of ferrets, a paddling of ducks, a skulk of foxes, a kindle of kittens, a superfluity of nuns, and yes, even a barrel of monkeys. And we know the game, but yes, it's a barrel of monkeys for a group of monkeys. So
Hilarious.
these collective nouns are called nouns of assembly, which I love in itself, or terms of venery. And they're a favourite with people who like doing or creative crosswords, the cruciverbalists.
Okay.
So they've been a popular part of the English language since about the mid 15th century. There was a list at the time of 165 collective nouns known as the Companies of Beasties and Fowlies, which was included in the Book of St Albans in 1465. And this is kind of like a gentleman's how-to guide on topics of hawking and hunting and heraldry and other gentlemanly words starting with H. And so these collective words in this list were kind of an indicator of your rank or your class. And some words were reserved for use by the gentry. And then there was a woman called Chloe Rhodes, and she wrote in her book, The Unkindness of Ravens, a book of collective nouns. She said, collective nouns were created and perpetuated as a means of marking out the aristocracy from the less well-bred masses. So there you go. If you were familiar with these terms, you had a good education.
Yeah, it's a
But
secret
collective
handshake.
nouns, oh, it is. It is. What school did you go to? So there, this reference to either the behavior or the habits of these creatures that we have in question. It might be their song or how they move or the way that humans imagine their personalities. So you might have a different term for birds in flight or birds on the land. So where does this all come from? Many of the original, sometimes satirical meanings have become lost. A murder of crows, for instance, is said to be based on the sinister appearance of the black crow, or even based on a folk tale where these crows were ganging up on one of their own and determining its fate. There was an episode of The Simpsons that you might have seen where Homer Simpson corrects his wife Marge when she describes a group of crows that are hanging out in their bedroom as a gang. And Homer says, it's a murder, honey. A group of crows is called a murder. And then
Yes, I do.
other collect. Do you remember that one? And you think, hey, Homer, clever you. And then we've got other popular culture use of the collective noun, a parliament of owls, which we've heard. Where does that come from? It appeared in C.S. Lewis's Narnia novel, The Silver Chair, from 1953. And Lewis apparently was inspired by a late 14th century Geoffrey Chaucer poem called The Parliament of Fowls. And it describes a group of birds gathering to choose their mate for the year. And they say maybe this is influencing the romantic notion of Valentine's Day. The late James Lipton, who was the host of the American TV show Inside the Actors Studio, wrote a book called The Exaltation of Larks. And he had a collection of 1,100 collective nouns. And he used to invite friends over to invent new collective nouns. So I'd like to go over to his place for dinner, please. So we're asking the question, do you have any suggestions for a description of Remorandum readers? A curiosity, perhaps? A revelation? I've got one. How about a quidnunc?
A
Because
quidnunc of randos. What's
a
that?
quidnunc of randos, because a quidnunc is a person who seeks to know the latest news or the gossip.
Oh, I like quidnunc.
Quidnunc.
Where
That's
did you
it's
get that?
yours.
You're a whole
Oh,
different class of person that you
oh,
know
look,
that word.
it's my education. Oh,
You're brilliant.
I'm so learned. Okay, so a
What I want to
quidnunc.
know is who's allowed to sort of come up with those words? Like this is an interesting
Anybody
thing about
apparently.
language. Yeah, like
Yeah.
if you decided to, what's like a new animal that we've kind of just recently
Um.
discovered? Cane
Oh
toads.
well.
What's the collective known for cane toads? You know, so we could actually come up with that word, or maybe our readers could make a
Yeah.
suggestion, and then we'll just start to sort of socialize it and put it out there, and
It
maybe we'll
becomes
catch
taken up. Yep. We
become
create a new lexicon.
a crumble of cane toads. You know, it's like a blast of cane toads. Okay, that's good. I enjoyed that.
Interesting.
Everything is
Quidnunc.
interesting. I got
Quidnunc. You're a
another
big
yeah,
quidnunc.
big quidnunc.
You big quidnunc.
I think this guy might have been a quidnunc too.
He's his.
Wilson Snowflake Bentley.
Yeah, he's definitely a quidnunc.
It's getting hot in Australia, like heat wave over the weekend here in Sydney, but it's getting cold in the northern hemisphere. It's getting all Christmassy and snowy and all that. So this guy was a Vermont farmer, and he became the first person to figure out how to photograph individual snowflakes using a
Clever.
microscope. So he was just crazy about snowflakes and more or less spent his whole life just capturing 5,000 photographs of snowflakes. And he was given a microscope as a kid and by his mother. And, you know, as is often the case, those little early gifts then tend to have, you know, big ripple effects on people's lives later on. So he was looking, using his microscope to look at snowflakes and noticing that they were all crazily different. I mean, literally every snowflake in the universe is different slightly to every other one. Some of them look remarkably similar, but technically they're different. So he initially, after seeing them in a microscope, he tried to draw them, but he found that they were way too elaborate and it was way too time consuming to draw that. So he just had this idea to sort of marry a microscope with a long exposure camera. But then the trick was, well,
Ah.
how do you like stop them from melting? Because sometimes these exposures needed to be up to like 2 minutes long. But he figured out a way, and it involved, won't go into the details, but it involved black velvet and black slate and gloves and catching snowflakes quickly and like rushing them to this like contraption that he built with the black surface and the snowflake and the camera. And he, you know, the first time he successfully photographed a snowflake, he described that negative as the greatest moment of his life.
Oh, good on you.
Yeah, so he collaborated with a professor of natural history at the University of Vermont, George Henry Perkins. They published an article which kind of popularized this notion that no two snowflakes are alike, and caught everyone's imagination. There was articles in the National Geographic, Nature, Popular Science, Scientific American, and he he published a book in 1931 called Snow Crystals, which showcases 2,453 of these photographs. Still in print today. You know how I know that?
You've got a copy
Melanie gave me a copy for my birthday.
because you're a quidnunc.
I know. I know. She tends to do those surprising, thoughtful things just to sort of get in my good books from time to time.
Yay. So you know everything there is to know about snowflakes. It's interesting, isn't it? Because to us, it just looks like this little droplet of ice. But was
Yeah.
it because of his photography that people came up with the classic graphic of what a snowflake looks like? Like, how do we know what they look like if it wasn't for him?
you got to buy the book because they all look actually quite different.
Well, I need to see this.
Our viewers can gaze in awe at the.
You could
at the
do the
variety.
the Rorschach snowflake test.
know.
What do you see in this snowflake? So we go from the mysterious and glorious snowflake to glittering stars. And I'm not talking about celestials. I'm talking about famous people. So do you remember all the hoo-ha in the press back in 2022 when Kim Kardashian turned up to the Met Gala in New York wearing Marilyn Monroe's Happy Birthday, Mr. President dress? Remember all that nonsense
Yeah.
over that frock?
She couldn't
And so,
do it up at the
she's
back.
ruined it.
She couldn't do it up at the back. I know.
Should have left it alone. You know, that's a special garment. Don't touch it. Anyway, the Met Gala that she has attended many, many times. It's formally known as the Costume Institute Gala, and it's this annual fundraising event for the Metropolitan Museum of Art's Costume Institute in New York City. And it marks the opening of their giant fashion exhibition every year, and it's usually the first Monday in May. And the event has been going for a long time. It first started in 1948, and the idea was put together by publicist, Eleanor Lambert, and the aim was to raise funds for the Costume Institute and increase awareness about the wonderful collection that they'd been building. So in the early years, it was this high society dinner New York's elite would attend. And then it started to evolve in the 1970s when Diana Vreeland, who's the former editor-in-chief of Vogue magazine, became a consultant to the Costume Institute. Now, under her influence, the event started to morph and become this grand event that attracted lots and lots of media attention, and it became glamorous and very celebrity-driven. Well, since 1995, Anna Wintour, who is the longtime editor-in-chief of Vogue, only in title now, but she's moved on, but she's still there, and she oversees the gala as this big star-studded event. Now, every year, the Met Gala has a specific theme, and that's based around the big exhibition that they have on. And so you've got designers and influencers and celebrities dress according to the theme. And some of the themes have been heavenly bodies, fashion, and the Catholic imagination. Imagine what they did with that one. And camp, notes on fashion. And so you've got huge media coverage, and the sky's the limit with what they come up with for the frocks. They make their grand entrance on the Met carpet, the red carpet, also known as the Met steps. So they do their posing on the steps, and they try and outdo each other with their outrageous frocks. And it does raise millions of dollars for the Costume Institute. In 2023, it raised 17.4 million US dollars, which is wonderful, to fund exhibitions, to gather more garments, acquisitions, and initiatives. The guest list is limited to about 650 to 700 people, but you're invited, but you still have to pay for a ticket, 75,000 US dollars for a ticket to the Met Gala. So it's pretty high end. In 2015, there was a wonderful exhibition, China Through the Looking Glass, and it became the subject of a documentary the first Monday in May, which was all around the Met Gala, the preparations, and how it ties in with the exhibitions. And only approved photographers and videographers could document the event. Social media was banned, so you couldn't take your mobile phone in and take pictures because it was all controlled, except the no selfie rule has led to this now an institution of taking your selfies in the bathrooms. There's lots of Yes,
Yeah.
lots of bathroom pictures. And often these photos are actually more interesting than the posed red carpet shots because they're a little bit more human with people larking in front of the camera. Now, the Met Gala, I am still waiting for my invitation. I'm waiting. So if you're listening, Anna, I think my last one got lost in the post.
Who's going to
You think you
pay
can
for
do
your
something
ticket
for me?
though, Claudia? We've got to get, Bunnings to sponsor you or something.
Bunnings, imagine I'll do a hardware inspired frock.
Yeah, great. Yeah, no, it is spectacular, and even I will cycle through those endless
Oh, some of
slideshows.
the frocks. Oh, some of the frocks are amazing.
Yeah,
A few years ago, the Chinese fashion designer Guo Pei dressed Rihanna in a long golden embroidered gown, which appeared as memes as Rihanna wearing a big omelette.
the omelette dress. Yes, I know
The omelette dress.
we use that as the
But
hero. Yeah,
at the time, the Guo Pei, the Chinese designer, they rang her and said, Guo Pei, would you like to dress Rihanna for the Met Ball? And she said, who is that? She didn't know who she was, which is so good.
well, yeah, I barely know who she is, so there you go. So
Well,
showing my age and
interests.
my focus. Yes.
Yes, yes. So it's a different interest. Everybody's different.
So that's us for today. That's us for
Us,
today.
the quidnunks.
The quidnunks have got to go and wrap their gifts and make their eggnog, which sounds a bit like quidnunk.
It does with the eggnogs. I think we're building that lexicon.
Yeah.
We're making that new. That'll be book number 14, the quidnunks.
Anyway,
And speaking of books, you can buy copies of these
yeah,
wonderful books. And we're talking about the books. They're called Remorandum, and Remorandum is available at remorandum.com.
buy the full set.
And
I'll write you a little lovely note just for
oh,
you.
look, handwritten notes. See, there's number 5,
There's
if you can see this. This is a lovely... Claudia is holding up a copy of Remorandum Volume 5 with the fancy blue cover.
That's cool. I've got 7 spots left for Memorandum 6 in terms of what's going to be the content. So you can also send us your ideas to hello@remorandum.com. I'll credit you if we run with one of them. And I want you to have a really relaxing break, Claudia. Distance
Thank
yourself
you.
from all the thrum of the year, and look forward to seeing you in the new year. And
Wonderful. I look forward to catching you in 2026. Ooh, 2026.
I know,
Have a...
it's the postcode where I'm living too, so I have to sort of think
Oh,
of some ways to
oh
celebrate
yeah,
that.
that's fortuitous. Lovely. Have a beautiful Christmas and a very happy New Year. And see you next year, mate.
See you, Claude.
See ya.